Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Hello friends, welcome to the course on cybersecurity, tools, techniques and countermeasures. Friends, in the last session we discussed cybersecurity and why cybersecurity is essential in the present scenario. Friends, we are using internet and various applications in our day-to-day life. So, it is our responsibility as an individual, we need to protect our data and our information from unauthorized access and attacks. So, friends, in today's session, we will be discussing attack vectors, threats, risk and vulnerability. So, let's begin with our today's session. So, friends, let's begin with our today's session. So, the agenda of the today's session will be first learning objectives. We will be discussing about the topic and its introduction. We will be discussing key terminologies associated with this particular topic. Then we will be discussing various types of attacks and its relevant attacks. Then after we will be discussing risk assessment. Then we will be summarizing the session. So, let's begin with the learning objectives. Friends, after completing this session, you will be able to understand various terminology related to security, understand correlation between terminologies, understand the process of risk management, and you will be able to handle the potential risk associated with it. So, let's begin with the introduction. So, this chapter will introduce some of the key terms which will be used throughout this session and also will be used in different topics for the rest of the course. We will discuss correlation between different terminologies. We will further discuss different attack vectors, threats, associated risk, vulnerability and consequences. And finally, we will further discuss how risk management is done to handle the potential risk associated with the threats. Okay, so what are the key terminologies we will be using in this particular course? So, we will be using attack or attack vector. So, what exactly attack is? An attack vector is defined as technique by which unauthorized access is gained inside the computer or network for a criminal purpose by exploiting the vulnerabilities in the system. Let's talk about the risk. It can be defined as the probability of the loss from any particular threat from the threat landscape which can exploit the system and gain the benefits from it, such as loss of private and confidential information, username and password, sensitive organization data. Also, the loss of reputation. The loss occurred in terms of damage or destruction of hardware and software assets can be considered as risk. Now, let's talk about the threat. What exactly the threat means? So, anything that can exploit a vulnerability intentionally or accidentally and obtain damage or destroy an asset, that can be considered as threat. Now, let's talk about vulnerability. So, weakness or gaps in a system security program, design policies and implementation that can be exploited by different threats to gain unauthorized access of a computer system or a network. So, this is all about threat and vulnerability. Now, let's talk about the assets in terms of cyberspace: people, property and information. So, these are the three key assets in terms of cyberspace. People may include employee and customers. Property assets consist of both tangible and intangible items that can be assigned a value. Intangible assets include reputation and proprietary information, and information may include databases, software code, critical company records and many other intangible items. So, friends, these are the key assets that are associated in terms of cyberspace and we need to protect all these assets. Now let's talk about countermeasures. Any action, device, procedure or technique that reduces a threat, a vulnerability or an attack by eliminating or preventing it, or by minimizing the harm it can cause, or by discovering and reporting it, so that corrective and protective actions can be taken. So it is all about how exactly we can protect our information, our property, our assets, whatever we have explained in this earlier paragraph. So any activity relevant to protecting this information or these assets can be considered as countermeasures. So here let's discuss about the correlation between different terminologies. So we have different objects here. So we have honor. So they have various values, they have various assets. Okay. Now there might be some sort of risk associated with it. There might be some sort of threats by any particular threat agents. Okay. So there is a possibility that any particular person can get into access of any particular system. So they can be considered as threat agents. Okay. Now whatever risk associated with any particular assets, we need to protect these particular assets. So whatever activities we are taking or we are carrying out some sort of actions, so they can be considered as countermeasures. So all these things, all these terminologies are related with each other in terms of cyber security. Now let's talk about attacks. Friends, it is not something that whenever one person is attacking another person in physical terminology. If it is a physical attack, so that can be harm to individual. Now here in terms of cyber security, the attack can destroy somebody's information, somebody's program, somebody's data, somebody's network assets, somebody's physical assets and many more. So how exactly the attacks can be divided? Friends, attacks can be divided by active attacks and passive attacks. Now, so what exactly active attacks are? So here the attacker intercepts the connection and then modifies the information. So an active attack can be divided further into masquerade, reply, attack, modification of messages. So here you can say that there is a communication between Bob and Elias and it is being intercepted by one of the attacker, one of the hacker or the person who is having malified intention. They can capture the message from Bob to Elias, later reply the message to the Elias by intercepting that particular message or by making some sort of correction into that particular message. Now let's talk about passive attacks. Here the attacker intercepts the information but with the intent of reading the information and not modifying it. It can further be divided as traffic analysis and release of message content. So here the message is not being penetrated. It will be used for later for any particular other purpose, whether it might be malicious or it might be a straight. So let's talk about passive attacks. So here we can classify the attack based on its origin, inside attack and outside attack. If the origin of the threat agent is from the inside the organization, which may have the authorization and access granted to the resources but uses it with criminal intent. So there might be the possibility that in any particular organizations, two or more employees, they have some sort of ill intention against one and another. So at that particular time, whatever attack or whatever malicious activities have been carried out for individual, so it can be considered as inside attack. Now let's talk about outside attack. So origin or source of the attack is from outside of the organization and gains unauthorized access to the system or resources with the criminal intent. So here friends, by bypassing some of the firewalls or by bypassing some of the system, any particular unauthorized user is getting access to the system or data, and later on they can modify the information or they may use the information for their criminal intent. So they can be considered the intent may be criminal or non-criminal, but the data can be manipulated, the system can be manipulated, and it can be used for any purpose. So this can be considered as outside attack. Now let's talk about phishing attack. What exactly the phishing attack is? Friends, it is a type of security attack that tricks the user to divulge the sensitive and personal or confidential information, which is sometimes referred to as phishing scam also. Definitely, every user will not click the links provided in the email ID for providing the details, but the attacker are smart. They will perform the social engineering and will send the email to the users with the similar content which user is already looking or interested in. Let me give you an example. Whenever we are doing some sort of banking related transaction, whenever we are doing some sort of income tax related transactions, or we might be booking some sort of travel or accommodation. So at that particular time, they are checking our cookies, they are checking our history. Okay, so what sort of information we are looking for during last 1 week or 2 or 3 days. So in this particular scenario, they will send an email communication wherein they will provide a link where what exactly we are looking for. But here the thing is that the landing page might be different or might be the similar of the original website. So here the most targeted business sectors are payment platforms, financial and banking organizations, webmail services and cloud storage hosting providers. So phishing attacks engage user with a specific message and very solicit way for the response from the user, which is ideally to click on the link, is known as call to action, which means the attacker wants the user action on link provided in the mail to perform the action. So attacker here wants that we should click on that particular link provided in the email or provided in the message, and we should get into that particular website. So we should be aware about whenever we are clicking any particular link provided to us on email or through message or WhatsApp. Now let's talk about spear phishing. When a phishing attack is targeted to the specific individuals of the organization, it is known as spear phishing. Here attackers use the solicit company logo, footer and all the other style information which is present in the legit email to trick the user. The content of the email mainly focuses on the password reset email or account reset activity. So for the prevention of the phishing, the user has to check clearly from the address and email content along with the links present in the email body. Apart from this, employees awareness using various teaching method is the most important, as major data breach occurs due to human error which cannot be ignored. So friends, this is a kind of attack wherein replica page, replica email or some sort of information wherein we require some sort of services are being used, and here user without checking from where the email has been sent and where the email is being directed to the user, they are directly clicking on the link, they are landing to the unauthorized page and they are providing some sort of information, and the user's data are being manipulated and they may get some sort of loss. Now let's talk about SQL injection. This is another one of the most important attack, and this is widely used attack for an organization wherein the user want to access some sort of data, the user wants to access some sort of information and they want to manipulate the information for personal gain or for the criminal intent. Now SQL, which is pronounced as SQL, standards for the structured query language, and it is a programming language used to communicate with the database. It is used to store critical data of websites, users, services in the databases, which can contain personal and sensitive information such as username and password, transaction details. SQL injection attack targets the database using specifically crafted SQL statement to trick the system into unexpected and undesired outputs. SQL injection attack can be carried out in different ways, which can be decided after the attacker identifies system behavior. Now, let us discuss how exactly the SQL injection is being performed. So, if the web application is building a SQL query string dynamically with the account number the user will provide, it might look something like this, wherein we can write select star from customer where account is equals to, we have given some sort of plus user provider account number. So, it might be a field of our database. So, while this work for the user who are properly entering their account number, it leaves the door open for the attackers. For example, if someone decided to provide an account number of 1 into inverted comma 1 is equals to 1. So, that would result into a query string of select star from customer where account is equals to or into inverted comma 1 is equals to 1. So, due to the 1 is equals to 1 always evaluates to the true, and sending this statement to the database will result in the data for all the customers being returned instead of just a single customer. So, friends, here whenever developer has developed some sort of code and all this information are available into address bar as a query string, so this can be manipulated by any particular attacker and that may result into loss of users data. So, here the above query might not work for all the databases, but it can work where there are less or no security measures taken to filter such SQL injection queries by the developer. So, other type of SQL injection attacks include blind SQL, out of bound SQL injection. SQL injection attack can be prevented by avoiding the use of dynamic SQL and sanitize user inputs that don't store data in a plain text. Provide access control and privileges. Also, use of web application firewall is also a must. Now, let us talk about another attack, that is denial of service attack. We can in a short form we can call it as DOS attack, and we will further discuss distributed denial of service attack, wherein the data are available on a distributed framework, on a distributed platform. So, let us talk about denial of service. So, attack focus on disrupting or preventing legitimate users from accessing the website or application or any other resources by sending flood of messages, packets and connection requests, causing the target to slow down or crash the rendering it unavailable to its user. So, this is all about the system, the unauthorized user is making system busy in providing the services, and here the system will not be able to provide the services or the designated services. So, the server will not respond to the requirement or the services of the user. Attacker mostly targets high-end value organizations such as media houses, banking and financial organizations, e-commerce to disrupt their services. When the majority of present day DOS attacks involve a number of systems even into the hundreds of thousands under the attacker's control, which are installed with bots all simultaneously attacking the target, and this coordination of attacking system is referred to as distributed denial of service attack. So friends, here the attack is being carried out from different locations or from different systems. Okay, so this all kind of distributed things happen to a single server or to a single application, so that can be considered as distributed denial of service attack. So here let's talk about architecture of distributed denial of service attack. So they all are targeting to a single victim. So they are attacker. Attacker can be divided into different handlers, and different handlers can be divided into zombie. They can be bots. Okay, and they are targeting the victim from different angles and from different aspects, and the attacker server or the victim server will not be able to respond to the services they are designated to provide. So this is one of the harmful attack in the present cyberspace. Friends, let's talk about man in the middle attack and session hijacking. So here what exactly this terminology talks about? Man in the middle attack and session hijacking. So here they are targeting the session. Now what exactly the session? So whenever any particular user or any particular the person who is receiving the service, okay, or the server who is providing the service to different users, they are creating different sessions, and here the sessions are being hijacked. So how exactly these things are being happening? Let's discuss. So man in the middle attacks are a common type of cybersecurity attack that allows attackers to eavesdrop on the communication between two targets. Here the attack takes place in between two legitimately communicating hosts, allowing the attacker to listen to a conversation they should normally not be able to listen. So when a user is using the internet and our computer performs a lot back and forth transactions, the application generates and uses a session ID which will be unique and to make transaction private between the user and application. So friends, here both user and the service provider or the services, they have a common session ID, okay, and they are operating with each other. So here the attacker hijacks the session ID to eavesdrop the communication between user and application, and there are various types of man in the middle attack such as rogue access points, ERP spoofing, DNS spoofing, packet injection, SQL script stripping. So we can prevent such attacks by using strong WEP or WAP encryption on access points, using virtual private network, also enforce HTTPS, and using a strong combination of public key pair authentication. So this is one of the most important attack that should be protected from accessing the system by unauthorized users or an application. Now let's talk about brute force attack. It is called as password attack as well. So the theory behind such an attack is that if you can take an infinite number of attempts to guess a password, you are bound to be right eventually. The term brute force means overpowering the system through repetition. So whenever we are accessing some sort of banking sites, so the banking sites cannot allow a user or an unauthorized user to access the system by applying multiple wrong passwords. So they allowing any user to attempt maximum 3 times. Okay, then after they log the users for accessing the services for a day or for some designated period. So a brute force attack is among the simplest and least sophisticated hacking method. Brute force attack often use automated system or tools to perform the attack, in which different password combinations are used to try to gain entry to the network, such as a dictionary attack list or using rainbow tablets. The attacker aims to forcefully gain access to a user account by attempting to the guess username or email ID and password. Usually, the motive behind it is to use the breach account to execute a large-scale attack, steal sensitive data, shut down the system, or a combination of three. So here what exactly we need to do? So we can prevent it by using strong password, combination policy, and require to change a password on regular intervals, locking out the accounts on a certain number of incorrect password attempts, use CAPTCHA, two-factor authentication, monitoring server logs, limit logins from single IP or a IP range. So friends, here we have discussed various attacks. So we are concluding this session over here. Now we will discuss the another attacks and another topics related to this particular session in our next schedule. So till then, goodbye, thank you very much and happy learning.